Two. All right, we're back. We're here. We're behind the anvil. Today we got the comeback kid, the coach, the awesome guy, Richard Kaufman. Um, how you been, Richard?
I'm truly amazing. I'm doing better than I deserve, and I'm so humbled to be on this podcast again. I love this show.
Yes, we're gonna have you on here many times we want, but and likewise. Before we get started, a lot of people you see, you get on there, you watch on YouTube or whatever, and they're doing live reads or and they do their promotion of their sponsors. So I got thinking, well, I don't have any sponsors yet. So if you're wanting to sponsor the show, let me know. But hey, who pays the bills? Well, Mike's Damascus Knives. So let's jump into this real quick. Behind the Anvil is brought to you by Mike's Damascus Knives, from handmade full tang working knives to friction folder pocket knives, kitchen cutlery, whatever you want. And I'm reading this live, so I just paused where I lost my spot. So, you want to make one on your own? You can come to the shop here and take one of our knife making classes as well. How do you find all this information? Well, you go to mikesdamascusknives.com or Facebook at Mike's Damascus LLC, Instagram, Mike D Knives, on the TikTok, American Bladesmith channel. So, Richard, since I plugged my stuff, plug all your stuff.
Well, first of all, I got to say, I use your knife every day. I think I've had it 10 years now, over 10 years. Never
Has
needed,
it been that
ne
long already?
yeah, it's never needed sharpening. I cut myself on it yesterday as I was opening my dog food, so it's still very sharp. It, it
It could
it's
It
uh,
could probably use it right now. It probably could use a little strop if you got a strop
yeah,
or a ceramic rod. Just general maintenance. Your edge do need general maintenance even on my knives.
yeah.
But
But
anyway, back to
I
you.
love your knives. Like I said, I use it every day. It's probably one of my best tools that I've ever had. So, guys, if you're looking for knives, this is the best knife you can actually get on the market.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate that review. Anyway, let's plug your stuff. Where can they find you? Where can they find your books? And what do you do for the veteran community
Well,
abroad?
they can if they're looking for me, they can always either Google the comeback coach like it says up there, or they can go to Vertical Momentum Podcast. We're on 35 different platforms. So if you DM me any of the channels, it's always me. I have a VA, but he doesn't answer any of my mail or any of my DMs. So if you ever DM me, it's always me. You don't got to worry about getting any junk DMs from me. What I do in the veteran community, I just teach people that, it's okay to not to be okay. And just because we're getting out of the service doesn't mean that we don't have a mission anymore. Like for me, I got out of the service, um, medically discharged. I'm 60% blind, and I had to start a new mission, which is the podcast. So, just because you're not on the mission anymore doesn't mean you don't have a mission, you know?
Just kind of switching gears basically from one mission to the other. So
Yeah, I
in walks
mean,
of life.
and I believe that veterans do very well in the entrepreneurial space. So it's great going from, the battlefield. It's just a different battlefield. You're just going from one battlefield to the next, and you just got to learn the rules of the battlefield, and then you'll be able to crush it like you did when you were in the military.
So, and then one thing I've heard a lot you talk about, and a few other people out there is, how can we take the skills that we learned in the military and apply them in basically civilian life? Other than, the hells of war, you got to take your skills, which were used for, let's put it, war. How did you, the skills you learned in the military, how was able to shape you where you are today and take those skills and do what you're doing to us today?
Well, I mean, when I got out, I was blind for 18 months. I couldn't see. I could barely see. I was at about maybe 10%. And I literally sat in a chair for 18 months blind, until I got a little vision back. And then I'm like, you know what? Because of Tammy Moses, if you don't know Tammy Moses, you need to know Tammy Moses, the Hoarding Solution podcast. She's told me, well, you're the comeback coach, so it's time to come back. So I got my phone and I hit record and I just started recording my story and interviewing people that have gone through the same things that I've gone through. And then I decided, well, what did the military teach me? Always be early, you know, stay late, always, follow your nine lines. Well, in business, you got to create a business plan, and it's just like a nine line in the military. And then, I also learned, I found different mentors, like John Lee Dumas is a mentor of mine. Gary Vaynerchuk is a mentor and a friend of mine. So I had to find different mentors like we do in the military. You might find an E6 or E7 that you can connect with, that you can learn from. So you're just taking one skill set and you're bringing it into the civilian, into the civilian world. You're just going from you're going to the battlefield, from the battlefield to the boardroom, but you're taking the same skills. You're just moving them over into a different battlefield, you know?
And you mentioned something about the nine line, is what you said a few minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
What it for people like me that I've never served. My dad was a Vietnam veteran, and so I kind of understand what people go through for PTSD as growing up with a kid around it. Never realized it when I was young, but walk that through me, what that means in that term.
But a nine line is just a funky way of saying, you know, when we're told to give an order, we're given an order. It tells us what, when, where, how. And I think in business, it's the same thing. You need to know what, you need to know when. Like, say, if you make knives, you need to know, well, what kind of knives am I going to make? What kind of knives do my customers like? When do they need them? What kind do they need?
And the where would be where to market and
Yep. And how much am I going to charge? So it's just pretty much it just figuring out what, when, where, and how it's just called a nine line, but it's just basic that you can take over into the corporate world.
oh, that's cool. I've never heard of that before. Hey, look, I'm learning stuff today.
There you go.
So how everything else going?
It's going good. And as because we're friends. We're not only just podcasters, but we're friends and we're brothers in Christ. I had to take 4 months off because I had a mental breakdown, and I took off from December all the way to April 1st because I mean, being a business owner, being a podcaster, with almost 1,400 episodes now. I was doing, 6 episodes a week for 13 years.
Oof,
And I
that's
was
a
burnt.
lot. I'll say.
I was burnt out and I needed a break. And I didn't pick up the mic for 4 months. I laid in bed. I was so depressed and I couldn't, I just had a breakdown until my wife said, all right, enough is enough. You need to get off your ass and you need to get back into the podcast game because that's what you truly love. And then we also got me a service animal April 1st. So
Nice.
for me, now I'm back. I'm back in to working out. I'm back, working training this service animal, and now I'm back to podcasting. I'm only doing 1 or 2 episodes a week. I'm not doing 6 episodes a week anymore. But I'm trying to focus more. I can't help the millions of people if I can't help the one. So now I'm focusing on, my avatar. His name is Craig, 45-year-old male, veteran, father of three, brand new business owner. That's who my avatar is. So every time I have a show, that's what it's going to be about. It's going to be how can I help Craig today? And I think if you're a podcaster, if you don't know who your perfect listener is, like Jim Rohn said, if you're advertising to everybody, you're advertising to no one. So, if person's views are low or if their downloads are low, you're just marketing to the wrong person, you know?
That's true. And that's something we've talked about on this program before is what we call makers burnout. Um, literally, and I've had that my issue too. And what part of I'm kind of going through something similar. Um, I'm getting tired of it just, I have to, I mean, let me back up here. Uh, like I said before we started, things are a little tight. Sales are not where I'd like them to be. And it feels like I've really got to, get on one toe, twirl the thing, woo, dance, look at me, basically, other than a strip pole, which, hey, I'm not ruling that out. It's getting the stripper pole out, kind of, you know, do that OnlyFans stuff. No, just kidding. Nobody wants to see that, Richard. But since you went through this, let's just say, creator burnout,
Yeah.
um, and we kind of recognize it, but we ignore it. We got to do
Mhm.
this. We got to do this. We got to do this. And I'm again, I'm not. I've never been a veteran. I never served, so I'm imagining being a former military or veteran. You have that mindset. You got your mission. You got to boom, 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 and you got to make that mission.
Yeah.
And I can see how getting caught up of, hey, I got to do a podcast every single day. Dude, that's the mission. Mission, stay on mission. Again, outside looking in, I can see that way my dad is. He works every day, every day. He won't take time off. He's got this, got to keep busy. And from listening to different podcasts like with Sean Ryan, and other military personnel that's been on there talking about their PTSD, talking to some of my friends who are veterans. And that's kind of woke me up to what my dad's going through. Whether he realizes it or not, I'm sure he does. It's just military. He's in the military. Boom, boom. Keep me on mission. Keep busy. Keep busy. And so, from what you went through, how did you recognize that? How can we advise people that are getting into podcasts, getting into knife making, transition from military to civilian life into working? What are the signs to watch for yourself to keep from burning out?
Well, even in the military, there's a reason why they give you 30 paid leave days a year. They give you a whole month off every year. There's a reason why, because you get burnt. Some signs of burnout is I got tired of picking up the microphone. I got tired of talking to people, which is rare for me because I all I do is talk. Um, I I didn't want to get out of bed. I slept until 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Either you start eating a lot or you stop eating. That's a sign of burnout. You don't do the fun things anymore. You just lay around and maybe watch TV or doom scroll, the whole day. But it's okay to take a break. But when it gets into a month, 2 months, that's when you're no longer in a slump. Now you're into it maybe looking into getting help. It may be you getting into clinical depression. It might be, it might not be, but if it prolongs too long, where everybody around you starts noticing that, maybe you're not taking showers as not enough as you used to. Maybe you're not clean shaven anymore. Maybe you're just letting yourself go. And a lot of people, might be around you, be like, something's wrong, something ain't right. And that's when you just got to say, okay, maybe I need help. Maybe I need to get a service dog, or maybe I just need a break. Everybody needs a break. Like this year, I'm only going to be working 180 days this year. I got 3 vacations planned,
Nice.
and I'm realizing, um, that I can't pour from an empty cup. If I'm burnt, there's no way I can help Craig out. You know what I mean? And also, one thing I changed as of April 1st, I made God the CEO of my podcast. I'm just a steward. So now he's in charge. I'm in charge. I'm in charge of the work. He's in charge of the results. And once I put my faith in him, everything's going to work out. Because if he owns everything, which means there's no way that I could be broke, and there's no way my podcast should not be successful as long as I'm letting him be the CEO and just being a steward of the show. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm a Christian, I'm a man of faith, and that's not easy to do. Especially for men. Men, we like to be able to control the situation. We're fixers, we're doers, we're builders. And to do that, that is not easy to do.
Yeah.
To surrender like that. Uh, but at times I've had that experience where you surrender everything goes good. Of course, we're men and we tend to fall back. Um, but so in the rut, giving yourself to God, putting everything in God's hands, and I do. I tell you one thing: when you do, all of a sudden it's just like I've been job hunting, not very successful job hunting. That's fine. Apparently, I'm not where I'm supposed to be at yet, I guess. I did pick up a possibility doing a fill-in driver job. I don't necessarily want to go back to driving, but it's for a local company. It's a job I've done. So, and I know the run like the back of my head or hand or whatever you want to call it. And I find myself excited to do that. They ask me, it's like, what do you think about maybe 1 or 2 nights a week in a flatbed over the, short over road run? It's like, well, I can't do that. I've got custody of my daughter. I can't leave town. If I leave town, she won't sleep.
Yeah.
Um, if I'm, and then I've been gone out of town on a day trip or whatever, and get back till like 1 o'clock in the morning. Of course, she's wide awake
Yeah.
with all the lights on the house. Teenager. I mean, every little thing creak or whatever, or she's on the phone with me till I get home. So that's something I can't do. I got to be home at least at night for my kid. We're working through that, but again, workers burnout. Like I said, my burnout now is because I feel like I got to just make these knives. I'm not making knives where I want to be. I'm making the stuff that's selling because it's easy to make, don't cost a lot. My overhead's down a little bit, but I'm tired of making those. I want to get a little bit higher. I want to make less knives for more money, if that makes sense. And the
Yep.
economy's
Yep.
not there right now. We got a lot of things going on. And I'd like to get your opinion later on about what's going on. Um, but I think we're probably going to be on the same page as of all the current situation. We got fuel prices going up. I think that's being manipulated by the fuel companies. I know it's a global market, but we use a lot of our own oil here. But for me, I'm getting to the point where I'm tired of making the crap. I'm having fun making friction folders, but I don't want to make them because I'm not getting what I really need out of them.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine, he's a veteran. I'll have to introduce you guys one of these days. He's hell of an engineer. He took engineering and does really good. He's in the military. He was an MP, went in the motor pool, MP, recruiter there for a while. You have to check his episode out. I think he's one of the last episodes. I'll send it to you after this.
Yeah.
You can check him out. He's got a pretty good story. Josh, shout out to Josh and the oh, he started a new name for his business. I'll look that up here in a second. We'll give him a shout out. But he's helped me teach me on the folders, and I do friction folders. And what a friction folder is, Richard, is where it's part of the frame. It's basically a frame lock, but you use some friction when you pull the screws in. It tightens up that connection point, so it slides slowly, and it does have a catch pin on it to kind of help lock it and hold it in place, to keep it from throwing backwards on you. But friction folders is a very, very old style knife. And actually, the Romans, they found a what they call a friction folder with the Romans, with the Roman stuff. It was really cool looking. Give me a second. But where I'm trying to get at is how do we get out of this rut and move forward? For me, like I was talking earlier, I would like to find maybe a couple of high end gift shops somewhere in a tourist zone. I'd like to get that like in a service account, send them a dozen or two a month. But so I guess we're going to kind of tailor this to workers' burnout and everything. But for people in my situation, what would be your advice towards that to help?
I think for somebody like, I mean, I can only speak for me.
And that's all right.
I had to sit back and figure out what was my why. Why did I start the podcast in the beginning? Because veterans are taking their lives. Um, Veterans and first responders are taking their lives between 25 and 50 a day. And a lot of it is because they don't have a mission anymore. Once they took off the uniform or their gun belt, they don't have a mission anymore. So I
Hmm.
figured, hey, why not entrepreneurship? Why not start businesses? Why not, sales? So that's what I had to figure out, what my why was again. And I think that's the most important thing is, why are you making knives? Is it just to make a knife? Or is it to make somebody happy that will have a family heirloom for the rest of their lives? What made you start it and what's going to keep you going?
Well, for me, I'm not gonna lie, it's an awesome way to make money. And well, I like to buy me cool stuff. I can take care of
Yeah.
my pay my bills, raise my kids with it for the last few years. And I'll tell you what, that's a um, uh, um, gratifying a deal where I can go out and make something, take it out of the raw materials, do what I do. Um, and of course, part of me is like, am I doing is this the best job I'm doing? Of course, the customers they're happy with it, but even though it's a good looking knife and everything else, part of me is like, I could have done better.
Hmm.
Again, I'm making the basic EDC kind of knife, everyday carry, and but that why is like now I'm questioning why am I doing it? Do I really have to work this hard? I'd like to go find another job for a while, get away with it. And if I could, I got thinking the other day when I was out in the shop working. There's been two goals I've been trying to do. One of them is this podcast to do it for a full year. My full year will be in August. I think, yeah, about the 1st of August, somewhere right in there. I started with Brad and Kevin, Bradley and Kevin there. And I
All
started
right,
doing a
and
little
and we
bit.
got to give love
Yes,
to Brad, and we got to give love to Mr. Kevin. I love both of them. I've had all three of the. I had two of the brothers and Kevin on the show a while ago. I love those guys, and they're some of the greatest people that I've ever met.
yes. Well, let's give them a shout out to, Brad's little side business, BC Custom Rods LLC. Kevin
Yeah,
Beck is doing KB, and I'm going to murder this, KB Solutions, I think. Media Solution. Sorry, Kevin. I murdered your little side business. He's really busy right now because he got roped into doing help organizing Little League baseball
yep,
in our area, and he's like, he sends pictures of all the stuff he's trying to get empires, get it all organized. And I'm glad. I'm no offense to any parent out that's got kids in sports. I'm just glad my kid didn't get into sports like that because I wouldn't have the patience to do that.
yep.
But like I said, one go with that, and then the American Bladesmith show that we're going to we've been trying to film. We got a few up, and then life happens gets in the way. I got thinking how fun it would be is for the summers if I could raise up enough funds, and that's why I'm starting the Patreon account. I got to go through and I got to find somebody that knows how to set that up decent. Get some help on that. But how fun would it be to one, take my podcast on the road, two, get some couple more cameras, have Daisy do all the filming. We'll go film at the American Bladesmith where we go around seeing other bladesmiths from Forge and Fire, and they may not have been on Forge and Fire. Go in and learn something new that they do that's different than I do, and
Yep.
maybe I can incorporate my and learn more and show. I want to show what really goes on in their shops other than what you seen on Forge and Fire. Forge and
Yep.
Fire is it's made for the drama, the hype, and the boom, 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 boom. Trying to fit it down an hour. I know it's going to be kind of hard to do that with the YouTube series, but I would like to show more of the makers, what we do from shows and such like that. But I thought that would be really cool, be able to come up with the funds and take this on the road between me and my daughter. It'd be a hell of a way to spend the summer. You know what I mean?
Yep. And then you can also, because I think everybody loves to go behind the scenes. A lot of people they want it. Everybody shows the wins and success, but nobody ever talks about the failures.
Mm.
And I think that would be a great thing, actually going behind the scenes of what running a business it really is. You know?
So on your podcast, I'm assuming you have sponsors.
Yep, we
Um,
have over 20 paying sponsors.
nice. How do you like me? Let's take my for me example for somebody building up a podcast like this. I'm really enjoying this. I'm really having fun. I actually kind of want to do this more than I make in knives.
Yeah.
I think I'm doing okay. I haven't. I mean, I've got a few comments and such on that, but love to get some more reviews on how we're doing. But how do I attract sponsors like we did? I did a live read. I've got thinking, hey, I need to sponsor myself. I need to read off
Yep.
my stuff so they can
Yep.
find. And a little selfish self plug there. So, what would be your advice to me to attract, paid sponsors so we could build up enough income or we could take this on the road?
I would stand in your shop, literally stand in your shop, look around of every place that you're buying from, every place that you're selling to, and I would actually say, hey, I'm actually using your product to make my product. I would love to have you sponsor the show. I mean, and I tell everybody, all you have to do is, I mean, like, especially I talk to people that are, they buy a lot of, they're talking about, well, what kind of stock should I buy? Open your refrigerator. There you go. Just figure out, what Hellman's, Hunt's ketchup. But so if you're a business owner, and I'm sure you have 5 or 6 different suppliers, just reach out to them and say, listen, I have a podcast. I would love to have you sponsor the show. I'm actually going to talk about your product for the next 30 days for free. And I would love to create a partnership. That's what I did. My first 5 years, I had zero paid sponsorship on purpose. I gave people. We've done it. Me and you have done it. We did it, and I think that would be the greatest thing is when you next time you go out to when you go out to the office, just look around and see, well, who am I buying from? Who's buying from me? Companies that are buying from me, and then ask, are you looking to sponsor somebody? And you could do maybe as little as free for a little while, and then once they start getting traction, they might become a paid sponsor. Or if they said, I'd like to become a paid sponsor, okay, we'll start at $100 a month.
Nice.
So that's the easiest way to do it. Just look at your shop. Like if I'm sitting here, I got HP, I got Celsius here, I got an Apple iPhone, I got an iShore microphone. You know what I mean? Everywhere you look, there's brands that you're using. So if you're already using their brand, say, listen, I'm using your product. I love your product. Would you might be interested in me pushing your product on my podcast? And it,
That's
like I said, it doesn't have to be paid because even if it's not paid, say if who's your number one as far as buying metal.
I would say probably Texas Steel.
So imagine if you say Texas Steel, I love your product. I would love to be able to promote your product. I'm going to do it for free. Do you mind if I tag you? Imagine how many customers they have. You're
And
getting in front of their audience for free.
I better get it right. Texas knife steel. Sorry, guys, I forgot the knife part in there. I should know that. I really should. I just remember Texas. Texas is a wonderful state. You get
But
down to Texas very often?
just think of how many people follow that company.
True.
If you would just put out an episode, say, I use, as long as you actually, people actually use the products. So like I'm drinking Celsius Energy. I do that all the time. I'm like, thank you, Celsius Energy. I'm getting in front of hundreds of thousands of people by tagging them because I actually use the product and it's free.
That's awesome. Good point. I thought about, hey, I got an insurance words are hard today, Richard.
Yeah.
Insurance broker, and I thought, you know what? I thought maybe using ChatGPT and pipe them out a message says, hey, maybe that's what I'll do. I'll use ChatGPT and say, hey, so I don't screw it up my pitch because I mean I'm cold pitching. I'm horrible at it. thank God for Kevin got me into using Chat GBT,
Yep.
which you go back through some of our chats and I have ideas in the middle of the night and like, oh, I'm going to take it and throw it over here. And he's like, you send me too much. I quit reading those. I was like, yeah, no, I'm just using that to store it there.
Yep.
So for me, who's not great with words, not with spelling, grammar, and ChatGPT has been a wonderful thing. And I guess you could say for people that's starting out in this, like I said, that little live read I did, I added to it a little bit. Um, but I use ChatGPT. Hey, give me a script from this, blah 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 blah,
Yep.
and it kicks it out. Keep it this second and such like that. So that's a great tool. So that's a great idea. I do some shout outs like for my belts, Phoenix Abrasive.
Yep.
Make sure if you call Phoenix Abrasive it's not only for knife making belts, they've got a lot of other stuff they supply with for wood makers, glass, auto body, they've got all assortment of sandpaper for basically whatever you use sandpaper for. So shout out to
Yep.
Sean Ryan. Make sure you contact when you call Phoenix Abrasive. Make sure you reach out and ask for Sean. Tell him code name Jasmine. He'll know who sent you. I'm still waiting to get a phone call or a message. My God, there's some people calling up and asking about Jasmine. Hey, even if you just want to call and say, hey, code name Jasmine, just call him up and do that. Phoenix Abrasive. I think he's phoenixabrasive.com. So
Yep.
kind
And
of
just
like
make sure that you tag them in the liner notes. And when this episode goes out, make sure you tag those companies.
liner but basically in the description is what you're saying?
Yep. And make sure
Okay.
that you have their contact information. And then when you put the episode out, when you do it on Facebook or whatever, make sure you tag them in the post.
All right, that's a great idea. I never thought about that. Um, I got to get me on a little note board above here, above the camera here, so I can just kind of look up and read it. So instead of looking at my phone all the time,
Yeah.
so that's great advice. Um, well, let's shit gears. Yeah, we're gonna shit some gears here.
Oh yeah. Let's shit on the gears. Let's do it.
Shift gears here. So, everything else going good? You talk about going on vacation. Um, yeah. So
Yeah, I
what?
got another cruise coming up in November. We're going on an 8-day cruise to the Bahamas. Um, I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually thinking about holding a class on the cruise ship for podcasting.
Nice.
This way I can write the whole
Whole thing
vacation
off.
off.
There you go. Yeah, you got a duffel bag and you stuff my ass in and drag me along.
There you go. You can be my security.
There we go. Yeah,
And it's and it and guys, remember, make sure you pay your taxes tomorrow. Tomorrow's the day.
yeah. I had to file an extension because I didn't get all my stuff in yet. So
Yeah.
well, he's like, "Well, you're going to end up paying a little interest by the time." It's like, "Hey, it is what it is."
Yeah.
So,
Well, you know what? And I was talking about this with a gentleman yesterday. I was on another show. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur until it's time to do entrepreneur shit.
right.
So a lot of people that, they'll see, okay, two-time best-selling author, speaking on stages, podcasting, but they don't see when you're up at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to figure out taxes, or trying to figure out, like we were talking earlier, how am I going to make rent this month? How am I going to pay the bills this month? They don't see that part of the entrepreneurship. They just see the wins. And I think if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you need to, go behind the anvil and to see what it really takes to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and I tell you what, some people think that, when things are going good and knife sales are going and you got a big 2 or 3 months list of knives and got income, you sleep pretty good. Right now, my sleep is not all that great. Wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go, shit, I got that bill the end of the week. Oh, what am I going to do to make that happen? And you sit there staring at the ceiling going, and you feel like you can't move or anything. But so yeah,
But I think, if I were you, it's kind of like with me in my coaching business. Something I learned from my friend Alex Hormozy is that, everybody, if you're a business owner, you need to have 3 tiers, of products. You need to have, maybe if you make knives or swords or anything like that, you need to have your basic model, you know. Then you need to have your middle model, say maybe the beginning model's $30. Then the middle would be $100 just to say. And then you need to have a $3,000 knife. You need to have one stupid, stupid priced knife. I mean, the quality's got to be there,
Yes.
but you need to have one stupid, offer because people don't realize that 12% of people that will order the highest priced. And that high price will pay for all the other little stuff. And a lot of people don't realize, I'm just going to sell, I'm only going to put two things in on my business, the middle one and the bottom one. Why not have that stupid price knife that, somebody's really, really going to want it? And if you get that one a month, all your bills are covered because you sold one knife. And I think everybody, if you're a knife maker, you need to have that one. It's called the one stupid offer. You like for me, I have a 1,000 coaching plan, 5,000, and I have a $25,000 coaching plan. 12% of the people only want the best. So if you sell one of that, it pays for the rest of the month. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And I mean, I don't know if you do that, but I would find out, okay, what is the best, most expensive knife that I can make and highest quality?
I've got an idea. It's usually meteorite, and it takes quite a while to make it. So, I do have. I did a buoy that I post up every now and then. I did made up. It was Damascus meteorite Damascus semi setup because I had a high carbon core. Really nice bolster, beautiful handle scales, high end handle scales, and I donated it to the Toby Keith Foundation. We went to the show. Shout out to the Oklahoma Knife Group. Did a show a couple years ago, and one of their they like to sponsor is the OK Kids Corral, Toby Keith Foundation that help gives people a place to stay for them and their kids that are going through cancer treatment at the local children's hospital. And I just had a Sean Shropshire. I got his name right. He's not here, and I got it right. His last name's kind of weird to say for me. We just did a podcast interview just the other day. It would be dropping, I want to say next Monday. No, the 27th. That'll be dropping on the 27th. Got Brian on 420 there. So, but anyway,
So make sure that when after you hang up today and when this episode, whenever it goes out, make sure you listen to it again and tag everybody that you talked about in the show, including
right.
the Toby Keith Foundation.
That's not a bad idea. I never thought about doing that, honestly. So I'll start doing that. Definitely start writing that down. And one thing I do use here is when we're doing here, take the note taker that takes notes. So you got a
Yeah.
summary. So if you got the AI, whatever platform, I like to use Zoom because, well, I'm gonna be honest, that's the only one I know. I know there's some other stuff it's got built in, studio stuff, but that's a lot more higher out of my budget so far.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what platform do you use when you record?
I record on StreamYard, and then all my audio goes. It used to be Anchor. That's how old school I am. Now it's Spotify. So my audio goes out on Spotify, iTunes, but I use StreamYard for my video content.
That I've looked at that, and it's a nice setup. It's just
Yeah.
out of my budget for now.
Yeah.
What
I think I
goes?
think I'm paying $65 a month.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well,
so it's not very expensive for what it's worth. I think my total expenses for my podcast is about $100 a month.
nice.
That's including StreamYard, the paid version of ChatGPT, and my paid version of Opus Clip.
Very nice. Yeah, I'll have to look back into that eventually and get somebody to coach me how to run that because I got on there, I was looking at it like, oh, this has got a lot of stuff. I'm not sure if I can do this, but
Yeah.
uh,
Hey, if I'm a low tech redneck, if I can figure it out, you can figure it out.
so do any fishing lately? Any
I
hunting?
have I haven't been out. I'm not a big fishing or hunting guy. I don't know. it's not me. I get seasick first of all. So if I'm on a little boat, forget about it. I mean, I get seasick when I go whale watching. So, uh,
Well, I
but
can't, I can't,
I do like there is something about being out on a lake at like 5 o'clock in the morning when the lake is glass and you're just sitting there. It's just you and a friend, and you're out in a boat somewhere just chilling. I think that's got to be one of the greatest things you can do.
true that. God, there was a couple of things I was going to ask, and I should have wrote them down. You know
And I
what?
wish, I would definitely, if I was going to get back into fishing again, I would definitely order one of Brad's rods.
Definitely.
Yeah.
BC Custom Rods.
Yeah.
We'll tag him in that. Um, so how everything else going? I mean, you're kicking back. You say you're doing 180, working only 180 days a year,
Yeah.
which is nice. Um, so what are you doing in between this? What do you kind of
Well, I
just
mean, my priorities have shifted. Um, and I tell everybody my priorities are God, family and friends, and business. If it doesn't have to do with any of those four things, I'm not doing it. I refuse to do it. And I'm not just wasting time anymore. I'm spending more time uh, getting healthier, working out, walking, listening to podcasts, reading books. So I'm spending a lot more time, my off time, um, getting mentally healthy and spiritually healthy. You
awesome.
know,
It's
not everybody. I mean, figure the average person only works about 250 days a year because you get 52 weekends. So right there, that's 100 days right there. And a lot of people they don't take vacations and then they get burnt and then they're wondering why. Well, why am I burnt out? Well, when's the last time you've been on a vacation? Oh, well, I'm afraid that if I take a vacation, somebody's going to take my spot. It's like, no, you're going to come back refreshed. You're going to come back focused. Like and I think it hit me this time when we went on a cruise in November. We were in the Bahamas. Me and my wife were sitting in the chair on the beach. My daughter's playing in the surf, and we're like, this is why we do this. This is why we work so hard so we can enjoy the things. Because what good is it to be an entrepreneur, to have the big house, to have the big car, to have the big boat, and to eat dinner alone? Because your wife left you because you don't want to spend quality time with your wife and your children. Like you're a great father. You love being a
I
father.
try.
So, that's your life is built around her. And I think a lot of people get it twisted. They build their life around work. Let's be honest. If somebody died tomorrow, they'd be replaced by the end of the week. So your job is, you're replaceable at work. You're not replaceable at home. So for me, I'm spending most of my time trying to figure out how to become a better father, a better husband, a better son, a better friend, and a better entrepreneur.
I like that. Speaking of spirituality, have you seen the everybody losing their mind over a stupid me? It's going around about the president. Everybody, have you caught wind of that at all yet?
No, because I'm on a news diet.
I
Um,
like that. I like that.
I I don't care. I mean, obviously I care, but I don't care. Because I figured my father owns it all, so I can't be broke. So no matter what the economy does, if it goes to $50 a gallon, I'm taken care of.
Yeah.
I'm a child of God. I'm highly favored.
And,
So whatever happens, I'm good.
and I like this, and I hope you don't mind bringing this up, but it's basically the me is some apparently this came out back in February, and everybody thinks it's recently. Trump retweeted it or posted on his saying that everybody's considering it's him pretend he's Jesus, which he's not. I mean, anybody that's got a rational life and has a belief in Christ and follows Christ, And I like what you just said there. It's God's in control here. I mean, people are losing their upping mind over it. And I made a few comments on it. It's like one comment on one of my pastor I follow in his church, um, made a kind of a simple post asking a question, and I was like, "How about we just spend more time in the Word of God and less time on social media, and this stuff that wouldn't have to bother you." And
Yep.
everybody's like, "Oh, it's blasphemy. He's pretending to be Christ," and no. I didn't see it that way.
Yep.
There's several different versions of it now from the original. Everybody thinks Trump did it because, well, everybody's just going to point it on the president because, the president's a big figure. That's who gets all the shit, right?
Yep.
Um, and I like what you said, you unplugged and everything. I think if everybody would realize, God's in control, none of that matters. I mean, oh, it's blasphemy. He's this and that, and he's putting himself higher. That doesn't matter. None of that shit matters. None of that shit on social media matters. Nothing in this world really matters.
Yep.
You know, yes, there's some bad shit. There's some bad people that's getting away with a lot of stuff. But you know what? In the end, and I don't care how you believe, in the end, every knee will bow, every tongue will confess. God's going to take care of it because He owns it all.
Yep.
And
And I talk about it all the time. If I know that I own nothing, God just lets me borrow it while I'm here. If I'm grateful and I take care of it, if God let me borrow the Honda Pilot, He's going to let me borrow the Corvette. If He lets me borrow my house, He's going to let me borrow the beach house. As long as I know I don't own it, it's all His. And I think once we get into that, because God is like we're parents. So we if we have a kid and they're being, you know, they don't appreciate what they have, they don't take care of what they have, I'm not going to give them more. But if your kid takes care of what they have and they're grateful, you're going to want to give them more. Same thing with God. He's your father. So, I mean, if there's no reason we should be broke on this planet. If you're a child of God, if you're a son or daughter of Christ, there's no reason you should be broke as long as you realize He's the source. So
amen.
I don't worry about what's going on with the economies. I mean, I I was struggling, and then we had a huge windfall with our taxes and got back like quadruple what we normally get.
Nice.
But I said, Lord, it's it's not mine. It's not my money. I'm just a steward of it. I'm just a steward of the podcast. I'm just a steward. My children aren't mine. They're His. My wife isn't mine. They're His. And once you realize that you own nothing, He owns everything. And if He's going to let you borrow the car, God, let me borrow the Corvette. You know what I mean?
I I, I think because on some I mean Corvettes are nice, but I think I don't know, a good 68 Ford Mustang with a Boss 302 in it with a four on the floor. That would be a little more fun. That's about the only Ford kind of product I really like. I'm more of a Chevy guy. People are like, oh, you would take a Ford Mustang over a Corvette? Unless it's a 50 models Corvette, maybe, the old school stuff, but I
But what
just,
I would love to do is I would love to buy a 1969 Charger,
ooh,
or
no
70,
car.
Dukes of Hazzard, bring it over to Ted Fox Scooter's garage
Oh,
and
yes.
let him soup it up and let him repaint it and take care of it. That's something I would really love to do in the future.
Oh, let's make that happen, huh?
Yeah. Guys,
So,
and if you don't know Ted Fox, you need to know Ted Fox. If you love cars, if you love especially muscle cars, he's got a brand new magazine out. Check out Scooter's Garage.
and I wish Facebook wasn't so algorithmic. I haven't seen any of his stuff on my Facebook, so I'm gonna have to give me once. There we go. I'm gonna have to go back in and if you haven't seen anybody's stuff for a while, go in and hit the like button and share.
Yep.
I mean, Facebook is very money driven, so the stuff that's going to show up is, well, the stuff they're making money off of on your feed. So to see
Yep.
your friend stuff, you need to get back in there.
Yep.
And I'm glad for that reminder. I've been trying to get him on here. I'm just gonna have to just gonna have to get in there and reach around, titty twist him, get him on
Yep.
here. Um, but yeah, it's just, it's there. I thought about making a post, it's like, man, how can I make a post that gets driven traffic like this stupid me that's going around about Trump? Big deal. I mean, everybody's losing their damn mind over it. Ah, and everybody's like, well, you don't want that kind of negative press. Well, is press really negative? I mean, yeah, the content of it could be negative, but good or bad, if they're talking about you, you're winning because
I love the quote. I watched a show. It was called, I think, Air, about Michael Jordan, and he was asked one time to promote a Democrat for Congress, and he said no. And they asked him why not. He says because Republicans wear shoes too. So, you want to make sure that, or I try to make sure that everybody likes my show. I try not to piss off one side or the other. I mean, of course, obviously, being a conservative, I lean certain ways, but I'm also respectful of people. And I had a close friend of mine when this whole Kamala and Trump thing was going on. I posted something and he's like, you know what? That really hurt. And from that day on, I haven't posted anything political because Republicans wear shoes too.
yeah, that's
So
got a point
it's
there.
not it's not a it's not a hill that I'm ready to die on.
I agree. One of my favorite quotes is "There's no such thing as bad publicity," and that would come from the guy that started the Barnum and Bailey Circus way back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go out there and cause controversy, but remember, let's say, oh, good word spreads one or two people, bad word spreads to 100. Well, you got 100 people that's going to look at your stuff now because they heard something about you. I'm not saying going out there and cause all sorts of stuff. It's just to be like, why do we give the most stupidest stuff attention over stuff that's more productive, more reading your Bible or helping small business people. Listen to Richard Kaufman's podcast. Um, Again, why is it that everybody? I guess everybody likes this high drama crap and wants to jump on it. Of course, if you ask a question on Facebook and or post a question, nobody answers the question. They come up with something else, which is still cool, which gets you the engagement is what you want.
But like for me, ever since my comeback, which started April 1st, um, I've decided that I can't help the million people un- until I help the one.
Oh no, did we just lose everything?
Help the one, I can help the millions, but I can't help the millions until I help the one.
Wow, are we? Can you still hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
My internet just dropped right out and then right back. Wow. Okay. Well, there's gonna be kind of a blitz there. Gotta love the internet, right?
Yep.
Um, well, let's talk about kind of like something like technologies like internet, Starlink, SpaceX. What did you think about the Artemis shooting people around the moon? You see all the negatives going. Ah, that's not real. That's all AI or CGI or whatever. It happened. They sent people out and around the moon. We have the capability to do so. With all the upcoming space program, we grew up. You're a little bit older than I am. Space program, space shuttle, all that. I always
Yep.
thought that was cool. I used to build model rockets when I was a kid. I'm surprised I still got all 10 fingers and toes and eyebrows and such burned off a few times. But what do you think of SpaceX and, us
Well,
potentially?
it's good that we finally went to the moon. Since we weren't there in the 70s, I'm glad that we finally got there.
Oh, no, you're not one of those guys that don't think we were on the moon back in the day, do you?
Well, I mean, think about it. I can't go into my backyard without losing service on my phones. How did they do it in 1973?
Well, they had, an extensive satellite program and radios. Um, Granted, they weren't always in communication. You still have that delay. I mean, technology. Can't remember what kind of radios they use. I'm gonna say probably something similar to a ham radio, but there's still frequencies you could do it back in the 70s. Very limited, granted, which makes it even more cooler if they able to do it. I think we got on the moon back in the 70s. Um, uh, I was watching a podcast that was interviewing one of the last living astronauts that walked on the moon. He says, well, if we fake it once and get done with it, because you have all that many people, somebody's going to slip up and say something. You think, granted, a lot of them are now passed and everything else, but still, I mean, that was a big program with a lot of people. Somebody's going to talk,
Well,
unless
it
they,
never happened. Nobody ever came out who really shot Kennedy. So, I
true,
mean,
true. Well, there was probably a little bit more to cover up on that too, but you got a good point there. Um, or
we'll
did
never
they?
know. Like, like people ask me about the government. I'm like, we'll never know 90% of the stuff that goes on every day.
True.
So, it's like, it is what it is. I think that it's great what Elon is doing, and I would actually tag him in this conversation.
All right.
I think it's great what he's doing with Starlink. I think it's great what, he's doing to try to help the human race. He's a little out there, he's a couple, but also people don't realize that, he's on the spectrum. So people like him, people like Bezos, Zuckerberg, most of those guys are on the spectrum. So they're different people than the average person. He only needs 4 hours of sleep a night. Where I'm like, if I'm not getting eight, I'm a miserable guy. So
Minimum six for me.
yeah. So I know I appreciate what he's trying to do, and he just a lot of the stuff he does you don't hear about. Like I listened to an audio book that went for like 16 hours about his life. And a lot of the stuff that he does, he doesn't even talk about. So I just think you got to give the guy credit, for what he's doing. And I think that he's really trying to help, get us ahead. Because right now, technologically, we're getting our asses kicked by like China, Korea. A lot of these places, they're way ahead of us. So I think, he's really doing his best to keep us or get us to the same level because China and Korea are whipping our asses as far as
Have you seen some of
there's a
their
reason why we're buying all our chips from China.
well, that Taiwan right now, I think
Yeah,
we are getting some from China. I
yeah,
mean, uh, Elon Musk and I guess they got a chip company.
yeah,
Um, they're especially gearing it towards a space-based AI, like one of these great big computer hubs, like we build data center.
yeah,
That's the word I'm looking for. Space-based data center AI, 1 million satellites. It's going to orbit the Earth this way, not this way, circumference-wise. The reason why they want to do that, so if they run that line around the Earth, they're always on the sunlight, facing the sun. There's no darkness. They're going to be interconnected with like a laser communication stuff. I've seen some stuff on YouTube. That's some cool shit. If
yeah.
he's able to pull it off,
Yeah.
he's
And
like,
guys, if you're listening to this and if you're a business owner, if you're not using AI, if you're not using AI technology, you're just going to get blown by. You're going to get passed up so fast. So if you are, a business owner, make sure you start learning AI. Pick one. I'm a chat GPT guy. That's the one I choose. There's so many of them, but pick one and go deep on it and learn it and start using AI because that's why I can have 180 days off because what used to take me a whole day for my podcast takes me 45 minutes. So make sure if you're a business owner, start using AI or else you're going to get blown past, especially because it's changing so fast.
if you could spend a day with Elon Musk and shadow him or sit down, have a conversation with him to learn something, what would you think it would be for? I mean, I know what I would do. I mean, I'd be a totally geek out, ask him a question about Star Trek and everything else. But there's a lot to learn there.
I probably wouldn't talk about anything tech. I would actually like to talk about his dad, his daughters, how he feels about, about his daughters and the choices she's making. I would like to know the man. I would talk to the man Elon, not the entrepreneur geek Elon.
I like that. Never thought of that. I know I talked to him about a lot about Star Trek. I'm sitting there watching. I was watching a speech. It was I. Of course, I didn't catch it live. They were talking when they had Pete Hegseth um, down there doing their tour and everything else, and he's like, we're gonna make Starfleet Academy real. We're gonna make Starfleet real. I'm like, he's a nerd. I like it.
Yeah.
He did the whole, Spock thing, and that would be one thing I'd be really cool to do. Switching gears for a squirrel hole, is get Pete head stuff out here to my knife shop and put him through a knife class. I need to get you out here if you're ever out this way, get out here so we can do that too with you.
Yeah, I would definitely like to come out. I like to hang out with you and Kev and go sit somewhere and go sit in front of a fire
I got a
and
fire
yeah,
pit. I have a
and a
fire pit, so
fire pit, some s'mores. I'm all about it.
maybe some good cigar and some good
Yeah,
whiskey. So
I'd be all about that.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I would love to do, and like everybody else, and it's like the other day, you know, I found a thing. It's like, all right, how do you send Trump a message? So I used ChatGPT. I found to send him a message. Either he got to it or not. I don't know. I'm sure he gets lots of stuff. They got people to filter out the trash from the good. I threw it out there. Hey, you never know. I might get a phone call say, hey, yeah, I would love to have you be on your podcast. I
Yeah.
was like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you want to? Because I want to. Because I would like to. Because Trump's a hell of a businessman, regardless if you like him or not. I want to learn stuff in business that I can maybe, so I don't have to work as near as hard and make decent money at it. If I get super rich, hey, that'd be nice. But I can
And
take care of my.
I have a post that I'm putting out. I'm not hasn't gone out yet, but I want to read it to you real quick.
All right,
It's coming out later on this afternoon about 4 o'clock. Where is it now? I gotta
Eastern
find.
Standard Time.
Yes. Oh, it's
But
yep.
yeah, shoot your stuff. If you got somebody like Robert Garcia, shout out to Robert Garcia, who's currently deployed in the States on some stuff. So,
It's something I created. It says, "Get over fear of failure. Face your fears, take action, change your life. Stop waiting and start winning." Sometimes we're so afraid to do anything that we never do anything because we're afraid, oh, well, Joe down the street may think that's silly. Well, who cares? Who cares what somebody else thinks? You know what I'm saying? Your opinion of me does not bother me. And I think a lot of people, if you want to be successful, a lot of people think you're going to sell books from your garage. And now Jeff Bezos is one of the biggest company in the world,
right.
but a lot of people are like, what do you mean you're going to sell books from your garage? And so I think if you want to do something, do it. Just do it. Like Nike says, just do it.
Yep. And like I said, I found something. Hey, I threw it in there, I copied, paste, put my contact information there, send it off. You never know until you try.
Yeah.
And if I did, dude, what happened if I did get an invite to the White House to go do an 20-minute interview with the president? That would be terrifying but exciting at the same time.
Yep.
I mean, if you got the same call, what would you do, Rick? First, I'd
Oh,
be like, "Is this a joke?"
yeah. But I also believe that if God wants that, He's going to get your information to the right person. It doesn't. There's no way anybody can get away around it. If God wants it to happen, it's going to happen. So even if you send it, somebody might be just getting rid of junk emails and be like, oh, let me read this email real quick. God's going to put that person at that moment reading that email at that time. If nobody reads it, then guess what? It's not God's will.
Very true. Very true. Um, one thing I got thinking the other day, it'd be really cool to see you on the Sean Ryan podcast. I really would love to see that. So I may have not submitted your stuff to his podcast for guests. So that's one of my goals. That and Joe Rogan podcast. That'd be fun. Um,
I love Sean Ryan. I love the Joe Rogan experience. Um, They talk about some wild, wild stuff. But I think I would love to be the GI Joe Rogan,
There
to
you go.
where I've been having guests lately when we've been talking about some really, really wild stuff. So I love Sean Ryan and I love Joe Rogan. So I mean, you can't go wrong if you listen to them. Some things can get a little wacky. There's some people out there on, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just not feeling it. But if you guys want to listen to great podcast, and there's a reason why they're number one, number two. There's a reason why they're crushing it, and they don't care what other people think either. They
Yeah,
don't care what other people think. So you have to have that little bit of that. I don't care what other people think. If you're going to be successful, you can't. Because who would ever thought, okay, I'm going from UFC now. I'm a TV star on whatever it was, Fear.
Fear well, he started out news radio. Do you remember
Yep,
that show?
yep.
Then he went to Fear Factor, and then he got into UFC. He was always been in martial arts throughout the years.
But
And
I
he
wonder
said,
how many people ever just said, "You're going to start a podcast
right? In his
and
garage?
you're just going to talk about shit." And he probably said, "Yeah." And now he's commanding $100 million as a podcaster. So there you
Hashtag
go.
goals.
Yeah.
I may not ever make it there, but why not try?
Well,
You never know.
if your goals don't scare you, you don't have big enough goals.
That's one of my goals. I've actually got a knife. I got the address. I just need to package it up and ship it. I'm actually got a knife I made. I'm going to send it down to Joe Rogan with a nice little letter. And hey, if he gets it, and if I hear back, I hear back. But you never know until you try.
Yeah.
Um, but you want to go a little longer? Or are you good?
No, I'm good. I'm just having fun hanging out with you.
Same. Um, God, I had a couple other questions to ask you, but um, and well, you know what? Speaking of, you've wrote a couple books.
Yeah.
You want to plug your most recent works and where they can find that.
My I have two top selling books. One is called A Hero's Journey from Darkness to Light. It's on Amazon. It's my life story, but it's also helping people struggling with PTSD, depression, anxiety, addiction. And if you pick up that book, I think it's like 99 cents, something stupid. And if you have Amazon Kindle, the audio version's free, so it doesn't cost you anything. But if you do buy the book, 100% of the proceeds go to end veteran suicide. So I don't make any money off of that. I don't make any money. And then my new book is about podcasting. It's how to have a powerful and profitable podcast. Because a lot of people, they have podcasts. The average podcast lasts 13 episodes, and then they're no longer recording because they don't have it's not powerful. So people are not listening. It's not profitable. And like you said, well, if I was making a profit, I'd be able to get StreamYard. I'd be able to afford marketing. And the reason why people leave podcasting is because they haven't figured out a way to make it profitable. So that's why my book is called The Podcast Blueprint, and it's on Amazon. So if you're looking to have starting a purposeful, powerful podcast, pick up the book. And if you buy the ebook, it actually has everything is clickable. So I had somebody said they bought it at breakfast and their podcast was live by dinner.
Nice.
So if you're looking to start a podcast, there's no fluff, there's no BS. It's 43 pages. But the whole back cover is written by John Lee Dumas, my mentor, and he's the number one business podcast in the world. So, guys, if you're interested in becoming a podcaster, let me know, and I can help you if you're looking to become a have a purposeful, powerful podcast. Or else you're going to become one. It's called Pod Fade, where after 13, 20 episodes, you're like, Every time I look at my wife, she's yelling at me because I gotta pay these bills that are, I gotta pay for StreamYard, I gotta pay for Zoom, I gotta pay for this, and I'm tired of paying for it without making money. So, if you're looking to have a powerful podcast that's profitable, let me know. But I also, if somebody's listening to this, I'm also going to offer this to you. If they want to hang out and talk podcasting for an hour, have a time, hour of my time, we'll talk about anything podcasting related or business related, all for free. No charging, no upsells, nothing. So you get an hour of my time just to shoot the shit and try to figure out how to make your business more profitable.
Awesome. Great idea. Well, I'm gonna have to go back in and as soon as those episode drops, I've been using Optimus Clip to cut out clips and everything that dot drops. One thing I have learned is if you do make a post and when you're tagging people in it, do it in the comments, not in the original thing, because if you put a link, I learned this from Robert Garcia. Shout out there, our buddy Robert Garcia. I think he's still on assignment.
Yep, and
Uh,
guys, if you are love veterans and if you love business, you got to check out his magazine, Shift Advanced Life. Just Google that, Robert Garcia, Shift Advanced Life magazine, and it's truly amazing magazine. I've been in there a couple times. It's a truly amazing magazine, especially if you're a business owner, you need to learn who Robert Garcia is because when I started my reset in April 1st, I went back to the Robert's teaching and I started using his teaching again. And now everything is starting to blow up again. So if you don't know Robert Garcia, check out Shift Advanced Life magazine. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. So I would definitely check out Robert and tag him in the comments.
yes. He is kind of on assignment with the Air Force right now. So shift's kind of on the back burner, but when he gets back out, it's going to be right back into it, right back in the forge. Um, hey, let's wrap this up real quick, and I got to get back out to the shop and get those knife pointy sharp things made out. So plus I got a couple orders I got to go forge now. Um, any last words you want to share? Wisdom?
Well, the way I end my podcast every week is I'm a big Joel Osteen guy. I don't care what anybody thinks about him. Uh, I always end my podcast with every morning we wake up, we have a choice. You can be a victim or you can be a victor. So make sure that you make the right choice today, no longer to be a victim of your past, but to be a victor of your present and your future. That's why I wear this shirt that says, I win because I'm no longer a victim, I'm a victor.
I like it. Richard, do you want to mind closing this out with a quick prayer and then we'll jump off here?
Sure, hold on, let me.
Ooh, look at that gray hair. Sexy
Yeah,
lady.
bro, look at this. Look at this. But I guess it's maturity. So, Lord, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for this time today. Thank you for this great time with my great friend. And hopefully we're touching people's lives. And Holy Spirit, just make sure that you touch both of us and let the one person that needs to hear this message today hear it so they can get the healing or get the promises that you give. Thank you so much. In Jesus' precious name, amen.
Amen. All right, Richard, we'll appreciate that. Stay tuned right after I hit the stop button here. But as we say in the shop, stay sharp, America. And remember, there's only one king, and that's Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. If you want to know a little bit about him, don't know where to talk to or who to turn to, feel free to reach out to me or Richard as well.
Yes. Yep.
So, or we can help you point you in the right direction of a good pasture. So, again, don't forget to go in. Richard, plug your stuff for real quick.
Anywhere you could find me, just Vertical Momentum Podcast. We're on 35 different platforms. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Tumblr, Flickr, TikTok. We're everywhere. So just Vertical Momentum Podcast.
That's awesome. Appreciate it, Richard. And yeah, remember, MikeSebastianKnives.com. Help us pay the bills.